This is Every Widow Thing.
Welcome back to Every Widow Thing. I'm Lacey, and I'm here with Whitney, Kira, and Holly.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Hello.
So today we're going to talk about firsts.
When you are still in shock.
The year
and-
that everything changed, right?
Yeah.
I think some of you guys had the same experience. Oliver died in October, so there was Halloween, then there was Thanksgiving, and then there was Christmas, and Ryder was born on January 1st.
Yes.
So there were four, they were all right there together. And then the funny thing is, when the spring break rolled around, I thought, shoo, I've gone through all of them. I'm done. Because Valentine's
right.
Day, too.
Yeah.
And they were all over. So in less than 6 months, I had finished those firsts.
I remember
Thank God.
that I am not like this, but my mom and my sisters, they're the type that will decorate for the holiday a month or two in advance. So as soon as on Thanksgiving Day, the Christmas tree is up, and Easter, everything is bunnies and eggs and crosses. And so my mom was living with us, and September 30th, she's got all of the Halloween stuff up. And you know what's crazy? At the time, I was like, oh, we should get tombstones and write our names on it with like something funny. I'm so glad that I did not do that. Because the very next day is when Hunter went into the hospital and then ended up dying. I would drive home from the hospital and see the Halloween stuff in the yard. And I was like, I'm glad that she put all that stuff up now, because there's no way in hell I would have been decorating at all.
You dodged a bullet there.
And for the kids, talking about normalcy, they do want those things and consistency. If you've always decorated.
Mine wanted to trick or treat and do all that, but I couldn't. I had no capacity or energy for decorations, and we didn't do any decorations.
Yeah, I wouldn't have. My mom is the one that did it, and it was before he died. So
I definitely decorated for Halloween. He died on October 12th.
Yeah.
And I told you I went as the White Widow.
Yes.
Spider.
Not only did you do up Halloween, but you went in for the dark humor right away.
And I had a skeleton, and Ryder made me. He was very, very adamant.
I'm glad that he voiced that to you. I do think that it was important for the kids, because life does go on. Even though our lives have been broken and we're not necessarily in the headspace, the kids need it.
I remember struggling with the trick-or-treating because we had the three. Yeah, it was definitely hard to coordinate. I don't think I decorated. I think they were bummed.
You just didn't have the energy.
I did it for Halloween because that was pretty soon after.
Yeah, physical
I was probably still having surgeries and things, so that didn't happen. But I do remember trick-or-treating with Karis.
What'd you do, Holly?
I was trying to remember Halloween. I don't know. My first holiday was Easter. Actually, the first 2 years for Easter, friends loaned us their lake house. And two of my good friends and all of our kids that had known each other from when they were little went to the lake house. Again, we were escaping.
Yeah.
But we did an egg hunt, and it was fun. I mean, it was different. It was
Did you have more family come in? Because I feel like those firsts... Well, and I lived near family.
Yeah,
I had to travel to see them.
Yeah.
Well, it was hard for me because they were older, 11 and 14. So it wasn't like we're going to put on our Easter outfit and go, traditional. I don't know. I just was like, I can't do this. So I wanted to do something different. And then Mother's Day, and we were together.
I can't remember.
Was that the first or second?
Was that the first Mother's Day?
No.
Maybe.
I think it
was our second
September.
Mother's Day.
Yeah.
That was really fun. Our boys were together, and they didn't really know each other. Fortunately, our kids don't really ever hang out. They go to different schools, and I always wish that it had been different. I always just wish that,
I know. I do think Thomas, Kira's son, just did this great podcast for school, and he interviewed a couple of our kids. And
it's called Dealing with Death.
Yes, Dealing with Death, which is such a great name.
It's really
such a great
good.
name. And he's talking to kids who lost a parent.
Your kids.
Yeah, my kids. And Hayden came home after talking with Thomas, and he was like, it was really nice to have a conversation with someone who understood what we go through. And
the
I was
podcast
like,
is great. Thomas did it for his senior project at St. Andrews. And
why wouldn't they want a
bonding
posse
thing.
like we did?
A lot of these kids really bury those feelings.
Yeah.
And they don't feel comfortable being vulnerable. Sometimes even with a therapist, they don't
No, I think
really want to open
some
up.
of the questions that Thomas asked Hayden, he had never even thought about, like dug into those feelings or thoughts. He says on the podcast, I just kind of pushed it away.
Yeah.
I kind of
so
feel
it's
like
really
that's
good.
what my boys have done. When Gabe's friend died a couple months ago, he will not go to a therapist. And I kind of think back to, I'm definitely more vulnerable now with them. But I think back to when we're talking about first, I had a real hard time how to deal with them, like Toby's birthday, how to talk about it. Because I was never, I don't know, I guess I wasn't taught to be open about it. So I'm trying to be more open with my kids now. And if I could go back, I'd probably do his birthday different.
I remember talking to friends and family when those kind of the birthdays and things arose. And I said, I just want it to be organic. If we're going to talk about him, I want it to just kind of come up naturally, like a story about Dad. I didn't want to sit down and force on the birthday, let's all tell a story or a memory or something. I was trying to just let it be, but that's because they were so little. And I think now we sometimes will say, let's talk about a memory. Once they're older and they're more mature, I think you can do that. But in the beginning, I was like, I don't know how to bring it up without it being sort of forced and awkward.
That's how I felt.
I would say things like, as far as like his birthday, I would just be like, hey guys, it's Dad's birthday, like the first birthday. Hey guys, so your dad's birthday is this week. Actually, on his birthday, the first year, his parents and I threw a memorial for him at Stubbs, and Campbell's little band played music.
that's
and
fun.
It was really
That's
fun.
nice.
Except for I humiliated myself. I had too much bourbon because I don't drink it. And then it was Bullet because that was Hunter's drink. So everyone's giving me Bullet bourbon. And I got up to speak. And I was like, is this thing on? Okay, everybody. Don't forget to tip your waiters.
If anybody can pull it off,
No,
you can, Whitney.
to this day, I still can't watch it because I am humiliated.
That's awesome.
And I had a whole thing written out, but I went off book and I was just like, so anyway, everybody. I'm sure people were like, what the heck? I blame
That's
the
your
bourbon.
go-to, though.
My go-to
Because that's
is
how
comedy.
we met
Yes.
you. When I
Yes.
met you for the first time, I was like, she just seemed so happy. Like, I was a miserable wreck.
You were super upbeat.
That's my go-to. And,
yeah,
and
now
I've
that
said
I
it
know
before,
you better, I get it.
the toxic positivity, my brain says, we're not going to dwell on that. So let's not even process it and move straight into the blessings. So there needs to be moderation. And then the comedy, I go to comedy. You'll know when I'm super uncomfortable because I start saying things like tip your waiter.
yeah.
Horrible. Anyway.
And now we know what to watch out
But
for.
I would tell the kids, hey, so your dad's birthday is this weekend. I was going to make chicken fried steak because that was his favorite, but I would like to honor that day because it's a really special day for me. And then they'd be like, oh yeah, no problem.
I think a lot of it is, like you were saying, food. We always make strawberry shortcake. We always kind of maybe do something that he would want to do, an activity. And I think that's a really nice way to honor them. And yeah, I mean, throw it out to the kids. Like,
Yeah, and we would get with his parents too. That's always a go-to for me because they live close by. And then it's
think
just,
we ever did anything for his birthday. Ryder was only 6, and I don't know. I mean, there's not really much a 6-year-old can do.
yeah. So you don't acknowledge it now?
Well, we talk about hey, it's his birthday today, and but you
That's
have to
being a
remember,
kid.
Ryder
That's kids.
also does not remember that much. Like I used to think it was somehow he had buried it, but he had a therapist. His name is Sean Kent. I'm going to give him a shout out. He is the most amazing person I've ever met in my life. He's just a wonderful therapist, and he said it's not buried. He does. That's not what
It's not there.
It's not there.
The same way. Yeah.
He said, I think he did that when he was young, but every age, it's just how they process is very different. And he said, I don't know what I don't know.
And is that hard for you? Because it's sort of hard for me with my youngest.
I really thought about it because Kira and I did the same thing, which I think is really weird. We didn't even talk about it. I don't think, did we?
I don't know what you're about to say.
The watch thing for graduation,
it?
Kira and I both gave our husbands' watches
right.
and had them engraved.
Yeah.
And the song that Ryder and I were on a trip to Boston because he's going to go to Northeastern, and we were going to a restaurant, and the song "Every Breath You Take" came on, and he said, who does this remind you of? And I didn't have to say. We knew.
Right.
So to be kind of funny, on the inside I put, I'll be watching you.
Oh my God.
Because it's a watch.
That's so cute.
And love Dad. And that's the only time I've ever seen him get misty-eyed when I gave it to him. And he said, oh. So, but I said, look on the inside. He looked on the inside and he got really watery eyes. And so I had to like cut it off because I was like, I didn't know that it was going to do that to him because he doesn't ever go there.
He didn't either.
I think I just had for Thomas, love Dad, but I said love Dad too. And then I think I was in a conversation with somebody about, is that odd? Because obviously his dad's not.
Yeah.
And I said no, because for me, it was like we were both giving him the watch, you know? Like it's like Frank and I were giving him the watch together.
Sure. And I tell my kid, I mean, y'all know me. I talk to the kids all the time about he's not really gone. He's here in a different way. So I don't think it's weird. He is their dad. And I remember Hunter's mom
they'll
saying—
always be their dad.
Yeah, I remember early on Hunter's mom said something to me like, oh, well, I was talking to some people that we just met and they asked if we had children. And I said I had 2 sons. And then I felt like I had to stop and say, well, I have 1 living son and 1 dead son. And I go, no, you don't. You have 2 sons.
Yeah.
You will always have 2 sons. And you don't have to make one of them past tense. Same thing with, the dad. That is their dad, and he will always be the dad.
Ryder said something that really bothered me in the beginning because at first I thought, oh, that's a great way to channel it. I was talking about when his dad's death. I guess it was the year anniversary. We released balloons with things we would tell him with the little notes and did that whole thing with my family. And he said, I said, well, what do you think about all of this? And he said, in my mind, he's on vacation. I said, but he would want to be with you. He didn't leave you. He couldn't help it. So it's a double-edged sword. Part of me is like glad that he wasn't grieving because he was like, Dad's just away. He's having a fun time. But I said, but your dad would have never left you.
I do think it's interesting, the adult brain and the child brain. And I know for me, what causes me a lot of pain is when I try to put my brain on them and my experiences and my relationships and my whatever, and they aren't processing it in the same way. So to him, maybe the vacation wasn't he left me intentionally. It's more he's okay and I'll see him again someday.
I think it was a way of coping.
And he's having a good time.
We did some family therapy, the 3 of us, and it was coming up on the year anniversary. And she asked the boys, what would your dad want you to do? And they said, have fun. And so they decided, we had friends over, and they went to the trampoline place.
Yeah.
Altitude.
It felt awkward, but that's what they wanted to do. And
but your Toby was fun though, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was the fun guy.
Well, and then that day, which
perfect.
My thing for me without the boys, we did
The spin class.
the spin class with all his music and all his friends.
You made me sit in the front row, right in the front row.
Because you're so good.
Just kidding.
But that was,
I loved the
It was
playlist.
healing for me.
I thought the playlist was
all his
amazing. I
favorite-
wish I had done something like that.
So that was the first anniversary of his death that you
Right,
did that.
which I don't necessarily acknowledge it. I mean, you can't forget about it, but I don't acknowledge it anymore.
I don't either.
I don't either. I don't either. The first year I
just
did.
a day. People would reach out and I would just say, it's just a day. Like, it's just one day. I'm just going to get through the day and then tomorrow it's over.
Yeah, you don't want to give any energy to that.
That's kind of how
I'd rather give energy to his birthday and our anniversary and the fun things. But the first year,
that was my approach
we
for sure.
did.
Let's celebrate the birthday, not the day that he died.
Lacey, did you do something on the first death anniversary?
We released the balloons.
Oh, that was the balloon.
We did too, but it was Father's Day combined, unfortunately. So June 21st, that first year, was Father's Day and the anniversary of the accident. And we gathered with families and did the balloons too.
I kind of had a balloon moment too, but we went to New Mexico and did the hot air balloon festival.
Oh, that's fun.
Because his parents were living in New Mexico at the time. And that was fun. And
I've
we
heard
were
good
with
things
his
about that.
parents. Yeah, it was great. You had to get up at the crack of dawn. But who are the people, the Magnolia people that live in Waco? The Gaines? They were there.
Oh, that's
so that was
funny.
kind of cool. But anyway, yeah, and then his parents did one of those cairns. with the stones, in their front yard.
neat.
I like
So
that,
we did that.
But they
yeah.
moved.
Now they've moved. So yeah, those rocks
They
are
didn't
long
take them with
gone.
them.
No.
The only one I
didn't.
get upset about is the wedding anniversary. When people stopped acknowledging that.
Yeah.
That's a really hard one, right? The anniversary, because when you see other couples that are celebrating it and you're like, I would have had that milestone.
And I think all four of us do feel that way. Like we really felt like our
were
marriages
our
were
people.
solid and we would definitely have made it.
My anniversary is Friday. It would have been 28 years.
Oh, wow.
And I am going out with the boys to a nice dinner.
Nice.
Nice. Isn't it nice? They're older now and you can do that.
Yeah,
That's
it kind
kinda
of started
fun.
that last year, or maybe like going to like somewhere nice. I don't know.
I love
But I
that.
had a hard time with it because I was like, I kind of want to go somewhere that was like a
Your
place we love
place.
to go, but
Don't wanna
everything's kinda
spend it.
changed, or I'm like they wouldn't want to eat that. You know,
For the first anniversary, it was June 2 and Father's Day and all that. And that's when we went to Mexico with friends. They had a timeshare. And so we went there and it was like, okay, this is a way to be with people and celebrate and not feel sad about it. But honestly, this year I didn't even think about doing something. And if I did, I don't know that I'd want to do it with my kids.
So the anniversary thing?
Yeah, the anniversary.
I don't know that I do anything. My sister, who's wonderful about it, she always acknowledges it.
What about Christmas, you guys? I mean, that was for me with kids, that was huge, the first Christmas.
Like, who puts the toys together?
Right?
I was like, I am
that was
so
terrible.
screwed because
Yeah.
I'm not good at that kind of thing and I don't like reading directions. And thank God for my brother-in-law who's an engineer. He was that first Christmas they decided to come to my parents' house with us. So the night before, here he is helping me put it all together. And because I literally came out there and just started sobbing.
I felt this overwhelming heaviness on Christmas Eve because it was just so apparent that I was alone. And I wasn't alone. My mom was with me, but it's not the same. And yeah, I can't really even remember Christmas.
I couldn't be in the
honestly.
house. I didn't do the toys or anything.
I didn't either.
We
Karis
went away.
didn't get any toys?
No, but I'll tell you a little story about
Sorry,
that.
Karis.
Tell me a little story.
I thought, okay, and everyone thought I was crazy, but I thought, okay, what is the most distracting place on earth
Oh, no.
Disneyland?
for
no.
3 children?
Oh
no.
my gosh.
Disney
we did
World?
not.
Yes, ma'am. We went to Disney.
Well,
I had almost lost my child also.
Right,
And
of
so it
course.
was kind of all about my 5-year-old. We recruited this other wonderful family, friends of ours, and my parents went and we went to Disney. And I was still, the funny thing about
did
that
too.
trip is I was still kind of crippled and they kept trying to throw wheelchairs and canes and things
You
at
should
me.
have taken it.
And I
you
was
got
like,
in the front
I
of the line.
refuse to be one of those people at Disney that's on the cart or whatever. So I had my right arm was frozen straight. I had a really funny way of walking. I was lurching around
They
Disney.
thought you were drunk.
Anyway, it was just an odd time.
But y'all reminded me, I went to Disneyland. I forgot. With Hunter's
Funny
whole
that we all
family.
did Disney. You
Yeah.
were in Orlando like I
Yeah.
was.
I did.
I did not.
Anaheim.
You did not do Disney.
You were
I-
smart.
It's not too late.
But I did stockings and some gifts. Like Santa came, so I did the traditional.
We had a condo in Florida, and my sweet, sweet friend Tutu sent a little mini tree to the
that's so
condo.
nice.
Oh, that's
And
cute.
I just kind of put the Disney, the kids didn't know we were going to Disney. And so I kind of put, they just thought we were doing Florida. And I put the Disney passes or whatever on the tree.
that's
And then
cute.
my
That's
friend
very
had sent
cute.
some little gift cards and things. And so we did have a little bit of a tree, but it really wasn't traditional at all. I couldn't do it. I couldn't be in the house.
Couldn't either.
I couldn't.
And
do
I
that.
couldn't even, I mean, we
Too
go
painful.
to my sister's a lot, and I couldn't even, and we also had lost my dad, had died that same year. So it was like double doozy. And I was just like, I can't.
Well, and then your family is grieving. Like
Right.
your mom is grieving her husband and your
Right.
sister is grieving her dad and Toby.
Right.
So it's like the people that would normally be the ones lifting you up and have the energy to do it.
But yeah, it was just bad for all around for the whole family.
I don't think people realize if they don't realize how lonely it is This is taking me back, and I can remember it like it was yesterday. I mean, those are very clear feelings. And I'm so glad that it's been a lot of time since then, 11 and a half years. I'm so glad I don't feel that way anymore. It's taken 10 years because a lot of people think, God, 11 and a half years, you should be good by now. And I went, honey, it took 10 years to feel like a normal person.
Yeah.
Like that because all of those new normals become normal then.
Right.
Like now it's like he's been gone longer than I was with him.
Mm.
So that's another thing that's weird.
So Father's Day is this month.
So that first year, lucky me, Father's Day landed on the same day that we had the accident, that he had died.
And so
that
what
first
did
year.
you do?
That was the gathering of the families where we
Released the
we
balloons?
released the balloons, and I would say that from here on out, it's mostly been mostly getting together with my dad, I would say. But there's also things where kids are in camps, and we're not always together on Father's Day just because of the time of year. And there have been times where my kids have been with other families, or they've been at a camp, and I've had to reach out and say, hey, just a heads up, this is a tricky thing for my kid. And the first birthday, actually, June 11th, right before the Father's Day, was kind of more our Father's Day because the kids wrote "Happy Birthday, Daddy" in the sand, and they wrote "We love you, we miss you" in the sand, and that was kind of a nice therapeutic moment that we all had. And then my friend that was with us made the strawberry shortcake from scratch because she's like an amazing cook, and I would have gone and bought something.
No, I like that. I don't know what I was thinking, but I had the kids. This is so weird. I bought Father's Day cards and I had the kids sign them. What in the world? I don't know. And then they did all that, and then what am I going to do with the cards?
Take it to wherever you've got him buried.
Yeah,
I think that might have
stuck
been
it in
confusing
on the
for mine.
bookshelf.
That's why I'm saying
they
I
were
like
young.
what you
They
did.
were young.
Something in the sand or
Yeah.
And we
or
took
write in the
pictures. I
letter
took pictures
and-
of them
Yeah.
with the writing in the sand. And I was
Yeah,
like,
that's
Daddy can
sweet.
see. But they were little. They were, 5, 9, and 11.
But you have to forgive yourself too. I mean, it's not like you've been a widow before.
No,
Like,
oh girl,
how-
I did so many weirdo things.
We are just making
So
it up.
many.
I
as we
think
go
I-
along. Still making it up as we go along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One year I bought some little journals and for each boy, and I was like, y'all can write some stories about Dad, and
Yeah, I did that.
it didn't.
No, they
They-
never. One kid wrote one.
I mean, if
story.
they did, I don't know about it, but I doubt it. But I
you
tried.
I'm curious. Do you feel like releasing the balloons, was that therapeutic for your kids?
I was completely medicated that day, I think. They had put me on my psychiatrist at the time had put me on some antidepressants. For me, it was almost too much, and I was just out of it. But I did hear from friends. I was there, but I wasn't there.
Right.
And I didn't actually do the friends kind of took over the writing. I mean, I know that sounds terrible. I guess I was completely checked out. But they said that my youngest, they said the kids really like put thought into what they were going to write. And I think they put the notes inside. I don't remember.
We just put it attached to the
don't
bottom and
remember.
wrote it. But I remember him really getting into it.
Well, at that age, for sure. And yours were younger.
I think the idea of it's going up to heaven,
Right.
I do remember that was that made sense to the kids.
Right.
We're sending this, I knew it was going to end up across town like on a,
Writer
telephone pole.
Overpass.
But they,
thought we were going to get in trouble because when the balloons popped, he goes, nobody's going to be there to clean it up. I got so tickled because, of course, the way he thinks, instead of it's going to heaven to see Daddy, and it's so sweet. He's like, who's going to pick up all those balloons when it pops?
That's
I was like,
funny.
oh no. Sweet
First are
moment.
definitely difficult. Everybody handles them differently, and however you choose to do it, it's good. It's okay. And
there is no right or wrong.
there's no right or wrong. And I do think it is important, especially with the kids, to acknowledge it. I mean, obviously, if it's a big holiday, you're not going to ignore it. But I think the four of us are saying consistency with the way you decorated before he died. It was important to continue that, but you don't have to do it exactly the same because that causes stress.
And you can change it up from year to year. I mean,
And also, I just wanted to jump in with please don't compare yourself to the other families in these moments, because I think there's so much pressure on these moms, with the matching pajamas and
Oh my
everything,
gosh.
the gourmet meal or whatever it is.
True.
And I still feel that. I just felt that honestly through this whole graduation process.
Man,
It was just like, I got to give myself a break. I'm not ever going to be able to be at that level that I was at before when I
I'm
had
not sure
a
I was
husband.
even at that level before he died.
Well, some of these
some
women,
of these people are
there's
so
no
souped
getting
up.
to that level
like
ever. But I don't know. That's really been something that's been on my mind lately, is just these other moms doing all this stuff. They forget. They don't realize what else you're carrying, and that you're just not going to be able to get to all the things and do all the things and, just be kind of like maybe as organized or as on it as you were. And I mean, I'm talking still, like it's coming up on 9 years for us. I'm still not as organized or on top of everything as these other families are.
Well, even when they were alive, I'm tired with one. I can't even imagine doing it by myself with 2 or 3. So anybody that would ever be like having expectations is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, cut yourself some slack.
Like you said, we're down a man.
If you're wearing
literally.
pajamas at all, you're winning.
We're down 4 fabulous men in this room.
Yeah.
If mine had a pull-up on and a T-shirt, yes,
You are
Sunday
winning.
morning
Yeah.
is coming, or Christmas morning is coming
Definitely.
out.
True.
Yay!
Definitely.
If they're fed,
Yay me!
Exactly. So
That's right.
we thank you so much for listening. And if you like what you're hearing, or if you don't like what you're hearing, why don't you send us a comment, or if you have topics that you'd like for us to address here on Every Widow Thing, we would love to hear from you at Every Widow Thing on Instagram. You also, when you're listening to this podcast, write a review for us. We are a new podcast. We're trying to get ourselves out there and help as many people as possible. And when we have likes and followers and reviews, that just helps us get our message out. So
and we love
appreciate
hearing that something we shared touched someone else.
Yes, we're
We
getting
love
a
hearing
lot
that.
of texts and emails sharing with us how our words are helping them. So
That's the point.
that is the point. So thank you. And we'll be back. Oh, no, I'll actually.
We're taking a
We're taking a
summer.
break. We're going on
Scratch that.
vacation.
You're looking at me, Holly. Why don't you say it?
She's
We
coming
are
back next
taking-
week.
I'm coming
a
back next week.
Whitney
Just
will
it.
be back next week.
No, I
Jet lag
forgot.
will be over.
We're going to take a break for the summer, and we will be back in September.
Bye. Bye.